to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days.
Oh, yeah.
Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back
old school. Let's go
back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days.
Talofa lava malolo suifua maua malelangi e mama. Ni sambole vinaka ke monisaka na wikanda mai viti. Hello everyone and welcome to Talanoa Tupe. This is a show where we celebrate and highlight Pasifika success in all its many forms. Each week we sit down with a different Pacific thought leader to hear about their journey and learn from their experience. Our guest today is one of the most recognisable Samoans in the world, who has made a career from making people laugh, young and old, from all over the world. He is, of course, Tofiga Fepulea'i. Tofiga, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. Well, that was a really nice introduction. You forgot that I'm a dietitian and...
I could have gone on for ages, but
Yes.
I wanted to save a lot of time for our Talanoa.
Looking forward to it. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Good to see you again, Tupe.
Yeah, good to see you
Yeah.
too.
Nice setup you got here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Goes with my pink blazer.
So there's a lot of different aspects that I want to talk to you about. I think everyone's familiar with your achievements in the comedic space, but could we just start at the beginning with your family? Can you tell us about your upbringing and the influence that your family had on you?
Yeah, wow. It's a long time ago. Born in Wellington, born and bred in Wellington, old hospital called St. Helens Hospital, which used to be a Newtown, but I think it's a hostel now, so it's no longer a hospital anymore. Only child. Brought up in mum and dad bought a 3-bedroom house in Burrampore. Mum and dad got married at the PIPC Church, Presbyterian Church, which is still on the corner of Daniel Street and Constable Street in Newtown. Back when the late Pepe Nokise was the reverend then. I was baptised there. And then mum and dad brought the family over one by one. Mum brought her brother over. Then Dad brought his brother over, still a 3-bedroom house. And sometimes we ended up with like 15 of us at home. But even though I was only child, I never felt like it because I was always raised with the extended family. I had my first cousins, like my younger brothers. And then I had the wider family, the church family, the village family. So, but yeah, so in terms of influence, I believe I am what I am today because of the influence my family have on me. Mum and dad play a massive part, my first teachers. And then the uncles and that taught me what not to do in life just by watching them. And also taught me a whole bunch of other things. Samoan was my first language, obviously, with mum and dad, both from Samoa. First time they met was in Wellington. And they used to work at a place called Todd Ford, which was around here in the hut, and with a lot of the other members from the PIC church. And that's where mum and dad met, was at a church and at work. And then, we just grew up in PIC. Once Pepe Nokise, the late Reverend, passed away, we moved on to the Efakasa, which mum and dad were originally Lokaiki back in Samoa. So, and that was in Cambridge Terrace at the time. And then, so we've been at Efakasa ever since. We're now currently at 180 Owen Street, our church. And our kids are brought up in Sunday school there. We've got 3 boys. So it's been, my church family, all my family have been a massive influence, massive prayer warriors for me, I really feel their prayers when going through dark times and stuff and hard patches. I just wouldn't be able to cope with life and be who I am if it wasn't for my family. So, yeah, they play a massive part.
It really does seem like family is extremely important to you, and you and your wife Bessie have 3 sons, and you've even named your company 3 Sons. So how do you balance having such a demanding career with your family life?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's probably easy in some sense because it's run by us. So, you know, we first and foremost, I mean, as much as we want the company to be successful and do make money and things like that to look after the family, at the end of the day, you know, it's family first. So it's really making sure that we don't get too busy where we don't have enough time for our kids. I've said to my kids many times, for me, you know, in terms of me to them, I want them to know me first and foremost as a father, not as an entertainer or a comedian, that type of thing. So me being a good father is my first job. Running a business with my wife and other people that we've got in our team is secondary, you know. But the good thing with running it with my wife is that she makes sure she knows me better than anyone else. So it's just making sure that I'm okay, that I make sure I got rest, you know, get time to rest. You know, people that I work with and things like that. So things have been going all right. No, you know, not too bad. They're going well, but especially with COVID, it's been a bit of a stink one. But I mean, it's been stink for a lot of people, and it's just a matter of being able to adapt.
Yes.
And trying to look at the positives of it, you know, in other ways of being able to continue what we do, you know, in terms of entertainment or our community work and things like that. So, but yeah, the number one is making sure that our family's okay through you know, anything, whether it be COVID or other situations.
Just being prepared for anything that life throws at you.
Yeah.
So you've touched on the fact that you have a demanding career, a business, you've got your family, but you're also involved in a lot of different community initiatives. So what drives you to get involved, and you know, how do you must get approached a lot to be involved with different things. So how do you decide, you know, what you want to lend your name to?
I think it's just, you know, the stuff that we do get involved in is also dependent on our brand as well. You know, we're very family orientated, and also in terms of, you know, the comedy that I do is, you know, there's no swearing, you know, adult sort of like material in that. So it's all about being able to have the whole family there. So, you know, at our shows we have the grandkids, the parents, the grandparents, and I guess you get to that thing where, for me, it's like if, you know, it's really important to me that my mum or my family can come to the show and feel good about the show, you know, not wanting to be someone that I'm not. But you know, it's a lot of people have said, you know, it must be hard to do material, clean material, you know, but it's just the way I was brought up, you know, and if people like it, it's awesome. If they don't, then I'm happy with the 4 or 5 people that have come to the shows. But in terms of community projects, that's why it's good to be able to work with my wife and that we select those projects, because it's all dependent on time, depending on who else is involved in it, and who it's targeting. The projects that we have been involved in. Just recently we had a mentoring program which we ran at Rongotai College with the likes of Antakara, Berenice, Rupati, and you know, and that was aimed at targeting just year 10 students. So, which was an awesome program we ran there. Then COVID hit. We had to stop that. But the last program we ran was in partnership with the Ministry of Education, which was called Oa'ulea. And our target group were young men, Pasifika young men from years 9 to 13. And it was a great program, which we ran in our community, which was Miramar Strathmore area. And the mentors that we had there were boys who were raised in the area, the likes of Ma'anonu, Poasa, and a lot of other families in that. The kids were mostly from the area. So, you know, it was great to be able to run the program. We had guest speakers like Damon Salisa, which touched on, you know, the migration, our ancestors being voyagers, you know, just that whole warrior spirit. Giving our young boys a better understanding of where they come from, which was quite interesting because me being a first generation and my wife as well, we knew who we were as Samoans. You know, it was taught to us. We grew up as Samoan, old school way. We knew our villages and that, so we automatically thought the second and third, fourth generation knew it as well. But in our program, a lot of the kids didn't even know their villages. And then one of their homework was to go home, ask their mum, you know, where their villages, where they're born, and some of their parents went too clear, so they had to ring their grandparents. So it was nice, you know, that the parents were having this conversation with their kids about their identity, you know, their culture and that. So yeah, that's the program that we were running first in the last holidays, which is called O Aulea, you know, this is who I am, you know, who am I? And we had Palatasa Havea there, a great speaker talking from his background in Tonga, being from the bush, and then being one of the top dog professors for Frontera, you know, and now at Massey University. The other speaker we had was Risati Ete, who was, you know, designing programs and that for over at Corrections. So yeah, we had some great speakers, and it was a great program. I did all the physical stuff in the morning, and then the whole menu was set by Ma, because it was about not just doing the physical but also having the right food and that. So it was a great program. We had small groups and things like that, and just really providing an environment where the kids, the boys, could share. And it was amazing what they shared about in terms of being, you know, the whole COVID, some of the uncertainties that they had, depression. Some of the kids that came to the program, because it's a free program, they came because there was food. You know, some of the families didn't have much food at home, and they come from big families. So it was nice to provide something for our community, and something to actually use as a foundation to, you know, sort of like design and put together other programs that we can hopefully get other people involved to help our young men. But the young girls is the ones we want to target next time, you know, once we get some funding in that from Oriana TV or something.
So it sounds like you took a holistic approach to the needs of the boys. And I think, you know, one of the things you touched on, which I think is really awesome, is bringing together the different generations. Because for people in our generation, you know, we've got parents or grandparents who came over as part of the migration. But the longer we're here, and you know, the more generations that are born here, that link back to the migration grows weaker, and we can't take for granted that our children will be connected to that.
And I think that was probably one of the messages that the kids got out of Damon Salesa sharing, is that the growth of our Pasifika population in New Zealand, you know, in terms of leaders of this country, and that is going to be huge, you know. So it's really important that we understand, you know, where we're from, and really come together as a people, you know, because we are the future of Aotearoa. So, you know, it was really nice to touch on that, and for these boys to understand that, you know, in terms of the age that they're at school, and the difference that they can make in the future.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it's great too that you're encouraging them from a young age that it's okay to share how they're feeling and what they're dealing with, because men's health is a really big issue in this country as well.
And I think that's probably one of the things that really blew my mind was, like, the small groups, when we split up, we had like 10 to 15. But the fact that these young boys were sharing like there was no tomorrow. You know, and I shared with them, I said, you know, when I was 13, 14, I wouldn't share to anyone, you know, because just the way, you know, I was brought up in where kids should be seen but not heard, you know, kasiareupu, you know, and then mum and dad will tell you, then that's it. You go, and there was no negotiation, there was no conversation or anything like that, and there was no opportunity to really open up and say, oh, mum, dad, this is how I feel. But to be able to provide that platform for these kids to share, I thought it was amazing, you know, and just giving them credit, acknowledging, you know, their courage, and just where they are now, you know, as young people, to be able to talk about their feelings so that they can get to, you know, over what is, you know, the obstacles that they're going through, and to be able to find help. You know, I think that with the generation now, for many of them, they would be able to access help a lot better than when I was a kid, because I didn't want to. It was just the Samoan way, no other way, you know. And I was too scared to go and ask anyone else, you know. So there was the shame of the family, that type of thing. So, yeah, and it was really nice to be able to hear from the kids and to see them to be able to open up.
So it's really awesome to hear about the work that you're doing to, help grow strong Pasifika men. And there's a lot more I want to touch on, particularly because you mentioned COVID-19 and how you're helping our Pacific communities deal with that. But first we have to take a break.
Sweet.
Welcome back to Talanoa Tupe. We're here in the studio with Tofiga Fepulea'i. Tofiga, we were just reflecting over the break about your program for boys. And, one of the things that I think is, really great about that program is that you're growing strong Pasifika men, but you're teaching them that vulnerability is strength. Is there, will you be running these programs in the future?
Yeah, we are actually in the September-October holidays. We will be going for the younger age group, targeting our younger age group from years intermediate to year 10. And that'll be in Wellington and in the hut. So in Wellington on the first week, and then we'll be out in the hut on the second week. So we're looking forward to that and what will come out of running those programs.
So another way that you're helping the community through this unprecedented times that we were living through is that you are running Talanoa live sessions for the Pasifika Against COVID-19 group. Can you tell us about that and what are the themes that are coming through in your Talanoa?
Yeah, wow, man, I've really been excited about it. I really enjoyed being a part of PAC 19 through Vons and Lilua, and also Sarah's brother DJ Tanoa'i. He's so multi-talented, a man of many talents. But it's been awesome being able to just chat with our Pasifika people, hear their stories, hear how they've been coping with COVID. Just last week we had the People's Champion, David Tua, and his wife Helen. It was great to hear their story, and them with their clothing merchandise label, the Tua Man clothing merchandise, and also with their new gym, and also the other community projects that they've got running. So it's nice. It's just nice to be able to share with people, hear their stories, and for our community to hear how other people are coping with it, and to realise that. Whether you're a business owner or you work for someone else, or or a mum or dad or student, we're all going through some tough times with COVID, and it's just nice to hear people's stories and to know that it's all about being resilient, and that there are people out in our community that want to help, because they also realise that some people might be a bit or ashamed to ask for help, but. There's a lot of help out there, and through PAC 19, it's just trying to promote and let people know that there are certain businesses and that people that can help you through the COVID. So it's been great being a part of it, and not doing a good job like yourself with Talanoa with Tupe, but just enjoying talking to our people and hearing their stories.
Speaking of the different ways in which people have been affected, COVID-19 and the lockdown affected you in a very personal way. Is that something that you're willing to share with us?
Yeah, I saw the questions come through when you sent them through, and it was a tough one because I lost my dad, and it was the second week of level 4. So it was really tough, and we're not just because Dad passed away, but there were so many different restrictions. And because it's the first time the whole world has gone through anything like this, or definitely for us anyway. When Dad passed away, prior to that, he was at home just up in Mount Victoria, and they said, oh, look, with the lockdowns and that, no one's allowed to come to the home. So the thing with Dad is that, Mum goes there every day. That's the only thing my dad looks forward to. So when we got told that we couldn't see him, we thought, okay, a bit of trouble. So we went to the window. We weren't even allowed to go to the window to talk to him. And then we tried doing video calls. There had some lovely people there that worked there, Samoan staff there. They give Dad the phone and we talked to him. The first day he was all right, he was happy. to see us on the phone. Second day, he was like, what are you guys doing on the phone instead of coming over? Because Dad had a bit of dementia. So even if you explained to him one day that there was COVID and all that, he would ask again in the afternoon, you know, why haven't my family come? So when we knew that we couldn't visit Dad anymore, my wife and I, you know, we just quietly said to each other, if anything happens to Dad, it'll be because of a broken heart. And when my mum couldn't go and see him, we noticed my dad deteriorating health-wise. And then we got a call that Dad wasn't feeling well. They said they want to take him to the hospital. I took him to the hospital and I said, oh, look, I need to come because I need to translate for my dad. And I thought, wow, here's an opportunity. I can go and see my dad. Got to the hospital and, you know, I was trying to talk to my dad. He was trying to respond. You could hear him humming and ahhing and stuff. And then I asked the doctor, I said, realistically, hey, you know, how's my dad? You know, is he going to recover from it? They said, oh, your dad's really weak. Not sure if he'll, you know, be still here with us the next day or a couple of days. So I said, oh, look, I've got to get my mum to come in. So I rang up my wife and I said, oh, your mum needs to come. But they said, oh, only one person's allowed in the hospital. By then, I was starting to turn into Incredible Hulk. And, you know, getting a bit frustrated, but at the same time, I understood that there were, you know, COVID and all that. And I didn't want anyone else to get in trouble and stuff. So I rang up my wife and said, I'll bring Mum in, I'll see what we can do. But once they realised that Dad wasn't, you know, going to make it, they allowed Mum and my wife to come in. They came in. And then once my mum called out my dad's name, he started trying to sit up. And all he wanted was just to see my mum one more time. And then what they did was they moved my dad on the side. He spoke to my mum, and he was just looking at her and trying to talk to Mum. And then for me, I was really, I was content, you know, I was happy that my mum could see my dad. And then from there, they said, look, Dad has to go to the ward, and only one person can go. So my wife and I said goodbye to Dad. Said to my dad, thank you for everything. I loved him. My mum went up. We went in the car. We had to go downstairs and wait for Mum because no one was allowed up there. Then I rang up my mum, the ward. Mum answered the phone, and then she said, Dad passed away. So it was hard. And what made it even harder was that the funeral home, poor lady there, I can't remember, what was her name, man? Māori lady there. And she was trying to fight for us because first they said 10 people could go, you know. If he was to get buried, 10 people could go. And then the next day we rang, they said, look, if he gets buried, no one can go. But if he gets cremated, one person can go. You know, I left the conversation on FaceTime or whatever it was, and she spoke with my wife. And then we had a conversation with Mum, and we decided to give the whānau, give the respect to our minister, our Reverend, Te Tianga, to do the service because only one person could go. And then, but me and Mum could visit and dress him the day before, so only two of us could go. So, you know, I did a whole bunch of FaceTimes to all my family. You know, they could see Dad one more time. You know, called them up and said, hey, look, Dad's getting ready, and we were there with Mum. So, yeah, and then on the day, only the Rev could be there. But it was, you know, all done online, and it was totally different, you know, doing the service like that, you know, Dad's farewell, because we're a big family, you know, the extended family, we've come from a big church, and Dad was a late preacher, so, you know, been serving as a late preacher for a long time, for about 30 years. So, yeah, but even saying that COVID, in some ways, you've got to look at the positive of it. And one of the good things about COVID was that it gave us the opportunity to grieve, because we didn't have to worry about hosting all our family and getting pusapi supos and iekongas and all that sort of stuff ready for Dad's Day. We could just grieve Dad's passing, and it was just us at home, our little bubble. Oh, thank you very much. God bless you. So that was my wife. She expired tissues. But yeah, it was tough, but we were able to grieve, just us. Our house became like a drive-through. Family would come and visit. Mum would open up her window and talk to them, and they would come and show love and give, either bring food or they were giving us money, as a mealofa. So yeah, it was different. And there's the old Samoan saying, e sui whaingai ku mau whawai. The ways we do things change, but the foundations stay the same. And even though COVID changed many ways that we do things, but it didn't change the way our people love, So, it was really powerful, the love that people showed. It was really powerful for our family and real therapeutic too, in terms of us being able to grieve and mourn Dad's loss. But we did a celebration, a memorial. Do you remember what day it was we did? June. And we had a whole church, we had a DJ, everything, it was just about celebrating Dad. Our family from Auckland could come down. It was difficult. It's difficult for anyone when they lose a parent. But just with the whole COVID thing, it just made it that much harder. But there were other positives around it as well, At the end of the day, no matter whether it's COVID or not, our family are always there. So, yeah. But I thought I'll just show some emotion, because I want to do drama as well. So just trying to show a bit of my talents, not just comedy, I can do a bit of drama with Peter Jackson.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think, the loss of a parent is probably one of the most significant things that any of us could ever go through. And, to have the COVID restrictions on top of that, means that it was a very unique grieving experience.
Yeah, sorry, Tupe, the one thing I forgot to mention was because we cremated Dad, because that was the only way our reverend could be there, was if we cremated him, or else if they buried, we don't know if they did bury Dad or if they, So, and as Samoans, it's not a common thing, So for Mum, it was like she understood, but at the same time she was worried about our family, maybe saying, oh, why would you do that and that? But when we, when Mum called family and even the Reverend and elders from our church, even they said, because of the situation, it's there's nothing wrong with it. So we cremated Dad. Dad's at home in the bedroom with Mum. She loves it. He's got a little shrine there with photos and that. When the kids go to school, they say goodbye, when they come home. And so, yeah, but, I always, even before Dad passed away, I said to Mum that for me, and being an only child, if Dad did pass away first, I would love for him to be cremated, only in the sense of wherever Mum wants to be buried, we could take Dad and bury, Dad with her. So, yeah, so it's the first time anyone in our family's been cremated, so it was different. But in saying that, it's been really good for my Mum to be able to deal with, and mourn Dad's losses, that he's there, his ashes. So, yeah.
I'm really glad that there were blessings that came out of that experience, and in particular that you were able to have a celebration of your dad's life.
Yeah, we loved it. It's good food. Good old Wellington caterers, Pacific Show. They put on a mean feed for us. Just want to thank them and just our whole church family and that. It was really nice to have DJ and they had to play some music, have a bit of a dance. And then the last thing for Dad, and and that Mum wanted was just to be able to give gifts to and acknowledge the church for their love and all that for my dad. So yeah, it was nice to be able to have the opportunity to do it.
Welcome back to Talanoa Tupe. We're here in the studio with Tofiga Fepulea'i. So, Tofiga, one of the other ways in which you were affected by COVID was that your show, Sorry About It, which recently played to a sold-out audience in Palmerston North, it had to be put on hold for a time during COVID. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, it was a real bummer. It's at the entertainment industry. Quite a bit. When COVID hit the first time, we had to cancel shows. We were getting ready to go to PNG, Sydney, and we had a couple of other shows to go, but in Samoa, we were getting ready to go there. So when COVID hit the first time, we cancelled that, and there was so much uncertainty, you know, because first time it hit with the lockdowns and that. And then we went back to level 1. Just only a few weeks ago, we did the shows, as you said, in Palmy, and we had a whole bunch of them lined up for New Zealand tour, North Island tour, and then, then Auckland came down with some cases, and then we're back at level 3, and we're level 2 here in Wellington, the rest of the country. So, the shows that we've had lined up for the rest of August and September, we've postponed to October. So hopefully things will go well with all of us behaving ourselves and being safe and making sure that we all get tested and that. And hopefully the levels can come back down to level 1 and we can get back in theatres and back in sports stadiums, back into the restaurants and for Sarah wants to get back in the clubs and that. So, it's... There's uncertainty, but then there's other ways that we can, you know, still continue, which we found with the first lockdown. There's online stuff we can continue to do, which is really good. But most of my entertainment career has been live audiences, so I really miss it, you know. And it's just not viable. You're not going to make money by having a limited amount of numbers, and theatres, you know, it's just no good trying to hire out something that they're not going to make money from either. So, it's tough, but it is what it is. And but I love the family time. I love the time. I was just saying to my wife before, it's probably the most I've seen my kids play in a rugby season. And I've really enjoyed it. The kids are loving, you know, having their dad there. But not being able to do shows, but there's other ways of making money and surviving, so happy with that.
So you've been performing stand-up for almost 20 years. Do you still get nervous?
Yeah, always get nervous, but I think it's a good nervous. It's that nervous where you're nervous about, forgetting something, and you're nervous that you might get out there and it's nervous because you want to do well for the people that are coming to watch you. And I think I get nervous because I'm waiting to get on stage. If it could be like I arrive at the airport, get to the venue, straight on stage, then I'd love it, you know. I guess it's like for an athlete, like for me, it's like before I run a marathon, you know, it's the waiting, you know, I just want to get out there and run the full 20 meters, you know. Yeah. and so, I think a lot of the nerves is because of the waiting game. And at the same time, I'm just nervous. I don't want to give people a bad show. But I'm not nervous where I'm afraid to get on. You know, I'm dying to get on stage and just hearing the sound of laughter. Yeah, but I always get nervous. I don't care what people say. I believe that, you know, you could do it a million times for over 40, 50 years. I think people still get nervous getting on stage.
So anyone who's ever been to your show will know that, you know, the sound of laughter is just continuous. Yeah. So there must be some incredible highs that come with that. Are there any lows that come with performing?
The lows of performing is when I can't go home straight after the show. After the show, if I have to go to the hotel room, go by myself, or just, yeah, I always have this, I wish, sort of thought, imagine that, I wish that I could be like Star Trek, where I could just beam myself to the venue, and then after the show, beam myself back home. That's probably the only low that I get is being, not having my family around after a show, or having, a family member or a good friend with me. It's just because it takes me a while. Sometimes I don't sleep after the show, just still high from the show. So I'm just watching TV 3, 4, 5 hours. Sometimes then just go straight to the airport and back home. The lows would be, what's another low? Can't think of any other lows really. I think it's just being away from home is the biggest low, travelling, being away from the kids, and that's probably why COVID's not the best situation, but in terms of me being with my family, I'm just really making the most of it. When I did travel a lot, I always thought, man, I wish there could be a time where I could just spend quality time with my family for a long period. Now that I've got it, I'm not complaining. I don't like the COVID and people getting sick and some people dying. But to be forced to stay home, it's been good for me, and been good for me just as an artist as well. I think in terms, for me to be at my best, I've got to be happy, and if I'm not, then, yeah, I think I'll start doing more drama and less comedy, But yeah, that's probably the only low, is just being away from my family.
So speaking of drama, last year you were in your first feature film, Take Home Pay. Yeah. Was that, I guess, like you going out of your comfort zone, or was that more of a natural progression?
Yeah, it was in the sense where doing a full-on feature film comedy with no interaction with an audience. At least when I'm doing stuff with Fresh and that, sometimes we do another take because the cameraman or someone there will start laughing. So it's like, oh yeah, that's still good, good material. But with Take Home Pay, man, everyone was professional. So even though I thought it wasn't funny, but they were holding in their laugh, so it was really hard for me to sort of like gauge, okay, was that funny? Was that? But yeah, it was a whole different discipline, being that one character through the whole, as for stuff I do on stage, I go from one character to another. But it was an awesome experience. I really enjoyed the opportunity to appreciate and realize the hard work that goes behind the camera. What we do in front of it, I mean, learning lines and having fun, but then you don't realize all the stress and time and management that, sorting out venues, what happens if the weather's bad, camera crew, all that sort of stuff, catering, So, yeah, just being able to see that, you realize the whole mechanics of it is something different, and then gives me a better appreciation of when people release stuff, when they say they've got a movie or a short film or something, I think, man, I want to go and support it because I know what it takes to create it, and it's so important to have that chemistry with everyone. Like, you can have the best camera crew, best producer and that, but if they don't click with everyone else, then it's not going to come out the way you want it on screen. And if people enjoyed Take Home Pay, that was because of the environment that Stallone, Abba Rose, Jack and that, created, it was like family, We had Sarah there a couple of times, coming to help out, finish off the catering. But yeah, that was awesome. And just to hear all the projects that each individual were doing, short films and stuff that you guys were doing, Rambo as well, who was with us. So, because I've always been on stage, most of my stuff I've done has been live shows on stage, but to actually be a part of a team like that, makes you appreciate, and it makes you also feel more for the industry now that COVID's hit. It's not just the people that are on stage that are affected, it's the people that are behind the cameras, people that do the lighting, the sound, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, and it's hit the industry real hard. But I believe, Palmerston North sold out because Kiwis wanted to come and support, their fellow artists, and it was nice to know that. So looking forward to when the levels come back down and we can get back out there, produce movies, and create again. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think once we can get back to that stage, there's a real hunger out there for people to see themselves reflected in different stories. So I guess my next question is, a lot of our Pasifika people are very talented in terms of entertaining and are very naturally funny people. And now that they've seen what you've been able to achieve in your career and they've seen you on the big screen and they see you on TV, what advice do you have for people who want to emulate what you've done? How do they turn a natural talent into something that they can make a living of?
Yeah, I think probably the first thing is believe in yourself. Believe that you have, the gift to entertain, whether it be comedy, dance, whether it be art or different avenues in that. I think believing in yourself is one thing. Surrounding yourself with good people, genuine people, not people that want to use you so they can do well, but people that will say to your face, you need to do this, just to make you be able to check yourself, and to get to where you need to be. I think it's important that those are probably the two most important, really, is to believe in yourself and to surround yourself with good people. It's not the number of people that it's not it's the quality of people that you surround yourself with. Good people to be able to support you when you hit a tough patch. They're the ones that will pick you up, and help you. Do your research in terms of if it's comedy you want to do, find out what's out there in terms of people that are already doing it. Never be afraid to ask for help. If a door closes, it's going to be another door that'll open. Just keep knocking. I was fortunate to be given an opportunity when Ete said yes, when he did his show, The Laughing with Samoans, and then the rest is history from there. So and I think it's important for us as we get older, we give that same opportunity to our next generation. And I think what can get in the way of people's egos and things like that. But for me, the way that I've been raised, we're always giving, But at the same time, you've got to look after yourself, because you can't give what you don't have, or you can't give if you're not looking after yourself. So, and then that's the one reason why it's always been important for my wife to be a part of anything that I do, just to make sure that I'm okay, And if I'm okay, then I'm able to help other people. But yeah, no, it's just important that you're funny. If you want to get into comedy, important you know that you're funny. So if you're not, then it's going to be a very tough job. It's going to be really hard, and that's why you need the good people to say, "Bro, you're not funny, man, but you are good at this."
Yeah.
People
honesty.
Because everyone else will say, "Yeah, now you're funny," but I'll get a cut of this or that, or do it this way, so that they can benefit from it. But the best to do, you just do you and believe in yourself. And when people that say you can't do it, just find out if they're genuine people that love you, or just people that are loko leanga, because they see that you're going to do well and things like that. So, but yeah, one thing that really, for me, that keeps me together, keep me sane as well, is my faith in God. I think it's probably the most important thing. I wouldn't have my family that I have it now, and I wouldn't still be with my family if I didn't have my faith in God to give me direction, guidance, just give me peace, So, and when I do hit the bottom, at least I got my faith and people around me to help me get out of that. So, yeah, those are three most important things to me. Yeah, but there's a lot of ways you can get into the industry, but if you don't believe in yourself, you don't have good people, or don't have faith, then I don't think you're going to get too far in anything in life.
Yeah. I was just going to say that it's applicable to any field, really. Yeah. So now we come to our quickfire question.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, man, I don't do karaoke.
What?
Honestly, I don't. No, I don't. Honestly, I don't do karaoke. But if it was, it would be. Shucks. Probably "You Are So Beautiful" by is it Joe Cocker?
Oh, yeah, I know the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Who was the most influential Pasifika person you saw growing up?
Most influential. My mum and dad.
If you weren't in your current profession, what would you be doing right now?
Probably a full-time model.
I can see that.
Are you laughing? You're laughing on that one.
No, because I thought you were a model, because you've been modelling for
but I heard a bit of
Mr. Big.
laughter around this area over here. So, if I wasn't, I always wanted to be a policeman. Yeah, but then they said, "Oh, look, there's a fitness requirement." I'm like, "Oh, come on, guys. Can't you just give me a dog and then just let the dog do the running?" So I think either a policeman or a youth worker or something, working with young people.
If you could invite any 3 people to dinner, who would it be?
Ooh. 3 people. Stevie Wonder. Mike Tyson. And Ice Cube.
Wow, interesting dinner.
Mm.
And finally, how do you want to be remembered?
Want to be remembered as a funny guy, genuinely loves people, and most of all, a good dad and good husband. I'm a fantastic husband, but definitely, I don't care what other people think, but as long as my kids know me, remember me as a good dad, good father.
Tofiga, thank you so much for your talk today. You've, just really blown this whole interview open with your willingness to be vulnerable and, share from your heart, and in that, show people that strong men are not afraid to share their feelings.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tupe. Thank you, Oriana TV, and love the opportunity. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Whawhatai te le lava mo le tātou polokalame le nei aso, soifua, ma ia manuia. See you next time on Talanoa Tupe.